Well, hello, good evening. It is Friday night. Glad to have you here. I'm going to start with two questions tonight. The first question is: do you have procedures and processes in your system that you follow regularly, sometimes, all the time? The second half of that is: do you sometimes forget a step? Or you get a step out of order? You remembered it, but it was not in the order that it needed to be? Never fear. Tonight, it is all about you and fixing that situation, removing that friction in your productivity system. I am Florence Donnelly, your host, and welcome to the Purposeful Productivity Show, where I help you fix the friction in your system so that you can be more productive on purpose. More productive on purpose. Tonight is part one of a four-part series where we dig in, dive deep, talk all about checklists and the magic of using checklists in our productivity systems and how essential they are for getting friction out of the way. So glad to have you here. I'm going to go ahead and see who's in the building with us real quick and say good evening, and then we're going to dive right into it. So let's go. Let's see who's out there. Oh boy, look at this. We got somebody. Greetings from Connecticut. Greetings from Maryland to you. Welcome to the show, Frank Jackson. And yes, indeed, you always remind me, welcome to the show, the Emotional CEO. And yes, welcome to the entire live tribe, to those who are watching and or listening, who may be cooking or taking care of children or working out. Welcome to the show. You're part of the live tribe. And of course, welcome, tech troublemaker, and you are causing trouble already. I'm usually productive by accident. Yeah. Try another one. You got too much going on to be productive by accident. Yes, it is go time, and I'm going to dive right into the information tonight because this is a good one. This is a really, really good one. So the first thing I'm going to talk about with respect to checklists, and before I do that, I'm going to just remind you, if you have a question, please put a Q colon in front of it. I'm going to get to questions a little later on in the show, but definitely would love to get your questions so that I can get them answered. So going on, the first thing we're going to do is talk about the importance of checklists. And why am I starting there? The reason I'm starting with the importance of them is because they are deceptively simple. And they can seem like they don't make a big difference. The reason they are so important is they reduce the amount of time that it takes to execute something, and we do every day. But if you're standing in the room and you're trying to remember what was I supposed to do next, or you get a phone call and you get distracted, you can get off track. Checklists help bring you back on track. I was in the military. We use checklists for everything. And one of the reasons was because when you're tired and something happens, you've got to be able to follow a list where your brain doesn't have to think about what it has to do. You can just go through and execute and know that you didn't forget a step. You just follow the checklist and it works. We know, many of us, and I believe everyone who's watching this has probably at least heard of the book, The Checklist Manifesto. If you've read it, put yes in the chat. And if you're in chat with us, and if you're looking at us or checking this out on the replay, put yes in the comment box below that you've at least heard of the book, The Checklist Manifesto. Powerful, powerful book. But one reason is it saves time because you're not stopping to think, what am I supposed to do next? Or what did I forget? Or I can't remember it all. The other way it's important and it saves time is because it allows you to get a real firm estimate on how long a process actually takes you. For me, I'm going to not put this on anybody else. I'm going to say for me, sometimes I can feel like something is going to take a very long time. And for me, when I say a very long time, I'm meaning hours. When in reality, the actual process may take me 10 minutes. But because I'm emotionally attached to it, it can feel like it takes me much longer to do what I was intending to do. So it can help you get to where you're really good at estimating how long it takes you to execute a particular activity or process or procedure. The other reason it's important is because we make thousands, thousands of decisions every day. And checklists will help with decision fatigue. I'm struggling to say words tonight. Checklists will help with decision fatigue because you're not having to make the decisions, you've already made them. You're simply executing on the decisions you've already made. So those are ways and reasons that they are very, very important. And there are many others. If you get distracted, I think I said this, but if you get distracted in the middle of doing something, you know where you stop because you've got a checklist and it brings you right back to where you should have been. And we use checklists regularly. We may not be as good as designing them and evaluating them, however. So, just so you know, that's the reason, that is some of the reason that they are so, so important. And I want to say good evening to someone. Good evening, my mentor. He's mentoring already. He's coaching me as he goes. Thank you, Mr. Walter Strong, NBA Sports Talk in the building. Take time, let the content flow that I know. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me to take my time. I so appreciate that. So the importance, again, the importance of checklists, if you don't have a reason that they're important, then I will say it's something that you will ignore and really truly can think it's not important because they're so deceptively simple. The next thing I want to talk about is designing checklists. And you think, I just got to write a list. Making a checklist is I get a pen and I'm looking for, I got one right here, and a sheet of paper, and I start writing. It's a little bit more involved than that, but you can start as simple as an ink pen and a piece of paper. That's really what you can start with, and I would submit in many cases that's what you want to start with. I would not necessarily start building or designing a checklist on the computer. Now, I was talking with someone today and they reminded me, I'm old. Not really. I'm just seasoned. But I do start a lot of my thinking on paper. It's very effective. There's something that happens in our brain, in our body, when we're this tactile thing we do called writing. Even when you have terrible handwriting like me, I have awful handwriting. Been using the computer for a lot of years. But even with terrible handwriting, there's something magical that happens between that pen, that paper, and our brain. So, but beyond just writing down a list, and I want to pick on someone because I know they do have a checklist because I use it. It's called a live stream checklist. And if you want to know how to get it, you may want to ask them how to get their live stream checklist. And if they're really kind, they'll tell you how to get it. But designing it, meaning things like, what are you going to call it? Why? When you want to think about what you're doing and you want to find it again, you want to be specific in what you call it. Whatever you name that checklist, doesn't matter as long as it works for you and you will be able to recall the specific checklist that you want to use. The other part of designing a checklist is getting it in the order, the correct order. So let's use a simple example. Your grocery list. I happen to know someone who has several people who have their grocery list in a computer file, in a spreadsheet, in a Google Doc, in some kind of computer file. If you just have a regular grocery list down and you haven't designed it, if you will, to organize it by the aisles in the grocery store Well, when you go into the grocery store to go shopping, hands up, because I do this, and I have done it, you're going back and forth, wasting time because you are on aisle 10 and what you needed on their list now is on aisle 2. So you got to go all the way back across the grocery store. But if you design the list and put the items on the grocery list in the order that they are in the store, saves you time. I've even started doing this with things that I order online. We all do a lot of online shopping. So if I'm looking for books, I put all the books together. If I'm looking for gear, I put the gear together. So organizing. Amazon, one of our favorite places it seems, has categories for a reason. It helps you find stuff fast. Organize your checklist like that. A shopping list is nothing more than a checklist. So designing, not only naming it, putting the items in the checklist in the order that they need to be done or the order that they will be used is a secondary way of designing. The third, and I know someone who will love this, is you can make the checklist look the way you want it to look. You can add graphics. You can do text formatting, bold, underline, italics, different fonts. You can put something sideways on the screen. It doesn't matter. Here's a checklist. 2 items, checklist. I wanted to cover those 2 things. That's where they are. I put them on bullet points, and that was it. That's a simple design, but designing it so that it may not be attractive to anyone else but you. And that's okay. Make it attractive to you so that you will want to use it. That is important to design. The functional part is organizing it, if you will, and being specific enough for you. Your specificity and mine may be completely different. I may need a whole sentence to describe what it is that task is going to be. You may just need 1 word or 2 words. Those are decisions that you make as you work through learning to use checklists. The other thing I'm going to say to you is you're going to make a lot of them. Once you start making them, you will make a checklist for nearly everything that you do. Because for most of us, the majority of our life is a routine. Our day-to-day, our profession, our vocations, our community service, our faith life, our family, our health, our finances, we routine. But guess what? It doesn't help, talking to myself, when I don't follow my evening checklist and don't lay my clothes out and I end up going to church with 2 different shoes on. Why? Not because I didn't have the right shoes, but because I didn't follow my own checklist. And at 5 o'clock on Sunday morning, I was not paying attention. Put 2 different shoes on. It was the same style shoe, but literally two different shoes, and went to church like that. Not following a simple evening checklist. And in the morning, figuring out what I'm going to wear is not on my morning checklist, my morning routine checklist. So there you go. The third thing we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get some questions. If you have questions, is put a Q in front of it, Q colon, and I will answer your questions during the Q&A section. And I'm not seeing any, but if you have some. And I want to go back to this one because this is such a huge part of removing friction. And I want to speak about it from the perspective of having multiple areas of your life. And that is, checklists help you overcome decision fatigue. And they're very powerful in helping you overcome decision fatigue because we don't have to make a lot of them. I remember the power of learning when really successful people, the reason they wear the same clothes, or someone I know who is a public relations person, almost always wear black or gray. They don't have to think about what they're going to wear. That is a necessary decision, but one that they don't have to make. When I was in the military, I never had to think about what I was going to wear. My uniform was the same uniform every day. The only thing that changed was the time of year. So we had a summer uniform and a winter uniform. So a certain day of the year, you change to your winter uniform. The other certain day of the year, you change to your summer uniform. The only other time we made a difference was if we were in dress or not. If we were in every day, it was the same. If we were in dress blues, so to speak, it was different. But that was the only decision we had to make. We made no decision about what we were going to wear, down to our socks. Every decision was made. Checklists operate very much the same way. So let's assume, I know many of you who are in the chat tonight, who are in the building with me, all of you actually, are content creators. Whether you create graphic designs, PR material, videos, live stream, social media posts, all of it is content. So let's say you're using your content creation and you've got multiple things that you do every week. You do research for social media posts. So there's a process that you go through. You don't have to decide what the process is. Step one, you make a decision. Step two, you go look for graphics and video, or you design something, you decide colors and all that kind of stuff. Step three, if you're making those decisions every week, it's decisions you don't have to make. You just have to execute. When you're putting your live stream, let's say you're scheduling a YouTube video or a live stream, it's the same steps every week. I follow my mentor's live stream checklist, and every week I follow the same process for titling, description, scheduling, thumbnail. It's all in a checklist, and I follow that exact same checklist every week. Do I have to think about, did I do the thumbnail? Did I do the title? Did I write a description? Did I schedule it? No. Why? Because it's in a checklist that I follow every week. So that's how simple it is. I don't have any decisions to make. In terms of decisions, I decide the entire month. I said tonight is week one or part one of a 4-part series because I've worked with my team, and the entire month of shows and the topics and how they're going to break down is planned before the month starts. The graphics are made before the month starts. But here's where the checklist comes in. I made a checklist of everything I need to do, and those who work with me on the team, what they do. I do my part, they turn it over, they give it back. I go on to the next step in the process. It's just one long checklist that gets followed for every live stream and every month to know what we're doing. I don't have to do any thinking about it. So the decisions are made, and I'm just following a recipe. Checklists are like a cooking recipe. I'm following a recipe. So it remove that friction and decision, having to make so many decisions. I don't make decisions. This is maybe TMI, but I'm going to share it. I wear the pretty much same kind of slacks in different colors every day for work. I have a simple set of shirts that I wear all the time. I just rotate them. Why? I don't have to think about it. I know the shirts work. I know the slacks work. I know the shoes work. I don't have to think about it. The differences are if I'm going out to dinner or whatever. And now we got somebody trying to be funny. I'm going to ignore you, but I will come back to that. So those decisions I've removed, and I took that from really successful people or people we look up to, no longer having to decide what they're going to wear every day because the decision is already made for them. And I just, a week's worth of outfits laid out. Boom, there you go. Then I just lay them out at night. So let's see who's got questions. Well, before I go to questions, I'm going to get you to start to do this. Think of your productivity win of the week. Start thinking of it now, because I want to celebrate with you. We are so good. We're so good at beating ourselves up and talking negative about ourselves and not celebrating the places we win in our life. I want to celebrate with you. Everyone has something that we can celebrate. So please share it with me while we're getting to questions. So I'm going to say Q colon for your questions, and we do have some, so I'm going to get right to it. So here's one of the questions. How has using the checklist helped you as a person or a leader recover from a minor or major error? Woo! You are talking my language. The first thing is I have a list of lessons, a checklist of lessons I've learned over the years in my career. And I just keep adding to it. And before, in my case, when I start a new engagement, I'll just read through that list. It's usually a new team. I may know one or two people on the team, but I won't know everyone. So it's a new team and new people that I've got to get to know. It's a new client. I don't know them, so they're getting to know me typically, and I'm getting to know them. So I have a checklist that I follow of lessons and mistakes that I've learned from over the years. In fact, I added to it today because we're getting ready to do what we call an end of an engagement, and we have to send out these feedback forms, and we get feedback from our team as well as others 30 days before an engagement ends. And so we were going through that today, and I was writing a whole bunch of people's engagement forms. But then the advisor that I'm working with asked me for feedback to go into theirs. And we talk about some standard things, but we always talk about what are the person's strengths and where are the opportunities for the person to grow. And I do this assessment on myself. So what I do with a checklist is I put those lessons, opportunities to grow in this checklist. And that's how it has helped me to recover. I acknowledge it. I don't run from it. I just simply acknowledge that I made a mistake and it's an opportunity to grow. And then within my career, and I've done this even in volunteer service, I just talk to my leader and I say, look, I know I made a mistake here. Here's what I've learned from it. Here's how I will proceed in the future. And my leader actually knows that I have this list. And my professional mentor, who's a phenomenal person, she is absolutely phenomenal. She knows I have this list, and I will share with her the things that I put on it periodically. I've added these 3 lessons to this, what I've called my personal development checklist. So that's how it has helped me. I'm going to address this because it is true. He says, in which grocery store, if multiples add the address, not all giants are made equally. You're correct. Not all grocery stores, even of the same chain, are made equally. The majority of us, however, we shop at the same set of grocery stores almost all the time, whether it's going to the military grocery store, going to the neighborhood grocery store, going to a specialty store. We may have a series of stores. Like I have this store where we go and get snacks, nuts, and all that kind of stuff. It's an organic store. But things are in that store in a certain order. We're going to go to that store. If we put things in the order that they're in, that we're looking for of that store, that's a separate store. In my case, almost always shop at the same one or two grocery stores, or I order from the same grocery store at the same site when I order to have groceries brought in, because I'm not going to be able to get to the grocery store. So that's how you deal with that. There you go. And I don't know what you mean I'm talking about. What does it mean I'm talking about you? I have no idea what that means. So, and good thing you guys are shouting each other out. Yes, the man with the plan at NBA Sports Talk. He is doing the thing out there. Thank you so much. So if you have any other questions, please put them in chat. And it is time for me to hear about your win of the week. I would love to see you putting something in chat. While we're doing that, I'm going to talk about, of course, action steps. I'm going to give you some homework, your action steps to activate what we've gone over. Choose an area of your life that you want to create a checklist for. Just pick one, whether it's health, family, kitchen, content creation, something in your business, something in community service, something in your faith life, some area that you know you follow a process, but you don't have it in a checklist. Pick it, and then design the checklist. Do exactly what we said. I'm going to show you a couple of simple designs, something very simple here. But design it. Figure out the name. Figure out if you want to do colors or pictures, the order that you want to put information in. Figure out if you want one word or whole sentences. Design a checklist for that thing and use it, and then evaluate the effectiveness in like 3 weeks. We say it takes about 21 days to form a habit. About 3 weeks, evaluate the effectiveness of that checklist and update it based on that evaluation. When I say evaluate, you're going to ask some simple questions. Did I miss a step originally that I need to add? Do I have too many steps on here and I need to pare them down? Do I have the items on this checklist in the correct order? Does the name of the checklist work for me, or do I need to change it? Do I have the items on the checklist, they're too wordy, or there are not enough words? That's the evaluation you're going to go through to make sure that what you've designed works for you. And for each of you, it is specific and directly applicable to you and nobody else. 2 people living in the same house can make a checklist for the same area of life, and it will be completely different because you're different people and our brains all are unique and they work differently. So I said I was going to give you an example. So let me go to an example real quick. And this is a very quick one, but I did this in Google Keep. And I just made a simple one here in my test account. And one you see is called Grow My Network, and the other one is Morning Routine. So morning routine, you could call this my wake up, you could call it whatever you want. You see I put different colors on there. Grow My Network resonates with me because I want to grow the network of people who I'm connected with. This is actually one of my real checklists. Grow My Network is one of my real checklists. And so I've got some things on here, as you can see, that resonate with me. You also will see the Grow My Network has more words on it for each item than the morning routine. My morning routine is pretty fixed. After I dress, the first thing I'm going to do is get a cup of coffee. I'm not doing anything else till I get to the coffee pot. So that's pretty routine. Grow My Network, I actually made a change to it because I realized in meeting people, I was not as fluent in my elevator pitch when they say, what do you do and who are you? I wasn't particularly fluid in that. So I've added that to the checklist. That's an example. The beauty of Google, of course, is that if you use it, you can do things like change the colors. You can put pictures on it. So if you're a person who this kind of stuff resonates with, you can use that. You can add labels to separate them. So I can create a label that says professional. I'm not going to use that. So let's see. Somebody give me a good label. Build. I know what I'll do. I'll do this one because this one will mind your biz. Okay, so that's a label. And so I can apply that label to, if I can find where to do it, I can add that label to this checklist here. Now that I've done that, I want to change it, so make this one that color. So now there are different colors, and I can very quickly see. You can also actually add, if you're a real graphics person, I don't know if I got... I'm going to put, I don't know what this is. Oh, I do know what it is. So I could put a graphic at the beginning. I wouldn't put this one on there, but at the top of that. So if if images speak to you, you can do something just that simple, but have them so that you can get to them, and you can get to them on your computer. You can get to them on an iPad. You can get to them on a Android tablet. You can get to it on a smartphone, or Android or iOS phone. So, or a web page, which is what I'm doing here. So this is a way that you could build and have them quickly and easily available to you. And if I wanted to scale down and just see the ones that are under Mind Your Biz, I could click it, and that's all I would see. Or I could look at all of them. The other reason I like the Google Keep is because if you have a checklist that you follow all the time, you see I'm checking this off, instead of repeating it, now I'm going to remember where to do this, you can uncheck all the items at one time and just reuse it. I don't do it that way. I actually duplicate my checklist because I like to see the days when I followed everything and the days when I did not. But you could duplicate it and save it, or you can just uncheck all the items on the checklist. So those are some things you can do in terms of designing and labeling and naming a checklist to have it easily available. So that's what I wanted to share with you all for that. And let's go back here. And you know what? See, now you're just doing too much. I can't get through the day without Maxwell House coffee. I don't drink Maxwell House coffee. Just saying. I don't drink Maxwell House coffee. So I see no wins of the week in here. We've gone through our action items. So I'm going to say, if you're watching the replay, put #replay_crew. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Get the information this month where we're going to be really diving into checklists. The other thing is, if you have a need, you need some help with your system, you can always connect with me at florencedonald.live. You can schedule a quick call with me. You can see what I'm up to and see how I can help you. We can talk. So I'm excited for where we're going and all that we're going to cover this month. And today, I didn't do this, but today was all about using checklists to boost your productivity. It is the introduction to using checklists. That is what we've got tonight. I am excited that you all were here, and I look forward to the next session with you, which will be next Friday at 6:30 p.m., and we're going to continue the discussion. Good night, everybody.